Every franchise has the hope the young talent will become the new young hope of a team striving for greatness. There are often times when players achieve this promise only to later falter and become remembered for less than what they were. The Baltimore Orioles have begun a new era in their franchise with young talent. Headlined by Adley Rutschman, they hope to begin anew. But before Adley became what he is now, and before he was even drafted, the Orioles had a trail of declining stars that followed this path, each with his own hopes of greatness, and each one of them would falter and fade. Let's follow this trail from the beginning and see what happened to this franchise to get it to its current state. July 29th, 1988. The Boston Red Sox make a horrendous trade, sending Curt Schilling and Brady Anderson to Baltimore for Mike Boddicker. Although the Orioles would trade Schilling for Glenn Davis just a few years later, Brady Anderson is the focus here. Anderson was a speed-first outfielder with okay defense and a great eye at the plate. Prior to his monstrous 1996, which I did do a separate video on, in the 4 full seasons before, he averaged about 30 doubles, 15 home runs, 8 triples, 30 stolen bases, walked about as much as he struck out with an OPS of .802 during this time. With this kind of player, the Orioles had something good, but it was gonna get better. In 1996, Anderson would put together a monster season that looked like this. While this wouldn't be the expectation for him in the future, the substantial increase in power would make it so that the Orioles might have a superstar that was even better than they may have thought. A side note, he got hit by a metric ton of pitches for some reason, and the most hit by pitches correlated with his best seasons. It's not really important to the story, but I wanted to get that in somewhere. And the next season, he would have another all-star year, but there was one problem that was going to rear its ugly head: injuries. Now, most of these were smaller things that he was able to play through. Although he wasn't like he was in 1996, he was still a very solid player, putting up a great season in 1999. But not only was the injury bug around, but as of 99, he was 35, and further excellence would be a pretty far-fetched idea at this point. He would only play 3 more seasons in the majors. But in 2001, his path would cross with another player that would carry a great hope for the future, our second stop on this journey. With the 50th overall pick in the 1999 draft, the Baltimore Orioles selected Brian Roberts, and he would debut in 2001, the final year that Anderson was with the team. Roberts was a slightly subpar shortstop, but a solid second baseman with great contact skills, solid plate discipline, and fantastic speed. Sound familiar? His full season, stretching from 2004 to 2009, he put up some great seasons, including his 3 50-double seasons, being only one of 5 players to ever do that, and a 50 stolen base season in 2007. And having just wrapped up a 56 double and 30 stolen base season in 2009, Roberts would be rewarded with a 4-year, $40 million extension, which was actually really accurate to his value as a player at the time, where he was paid between Alfonso Soriano and Luis Castillo. With the Orioles having some great talent in the wings with the likes of Nick Markakis and Adam Jones, it looked like Roberts would have a chance to join a team that looks very promising. This, unfortunately, would not work out like anyone had hoped. Roberts would play the highest amount of games in his extension in its final season with 77. In an all-too-familiar tale, he would struggle to stay healthy, and this would result in his career spiraling down to a swift decline. Unable to be healthy for the 2012 postseason, he wouldn't be able to enjoy the success the team around him was able to achieve. However, he would share the field with the final member of this trio, getting his first season of playing time with the Orioles. July 30th, 2011. The Texas Rangers make a good trade, receiving Koji Uehara for Tommy Hunter, a personal favorite player of mine, and Chris Davis. This Chris Davis, not the one that hit 247 a bunch. Davis was nothing like the other 2 stars as far as the type of player he was. He was a power-hitting first base DH who stole 19 bases over his whole career. But man, could he hit. From 2012 to 2016, Davis hit the most home runs in all of baseball, with second place just 4 home runs behind him, Edwin Encarnacion, and third place being 19 home runs behind him, Nelson Cruz. That is some pretty excellent slugging company, especially during that time. In that stretch, he hit 249, 340, 518 with an OPS of 858 and an OPS plus of 130. He also averaged 65 extra base hits and 149 games, and that accounts for the slightly subpar season due to injury in 2014. The Orioles would also make the playoffs in 2012, 2014, and in 2016, with Davis being a significant part of all those teams. He was unable to play in the 2014 postseason due to a suspension relating to his use of Adderall. The use was legitimate, he just didn't get the proper exemption, and he would later get the exemption and be fine. But after reaching free agency in the 2015 season, he and the Orioles came to an agreement on a 7-year, $161 million deal, the largest in franchise history at the time. And as the story seems to go, the following years did not go well. Playing less frequently than he had before due to small injuries and an ineffective bat, he would spend 4 of the 5 years of his new contract playing poorly, and he retired after the 2020 season. This would be a bit late for people to forget about his 0 for 54 stretch, a record for position players, but with Davis in particular, I think many people were too harsh with him. His undeniable excellence and his genuine desire to play better when things got bad are all too easily forgotten. To combat this, I'd like to tell a non-baseball story about him, just to help us remember about the man behind the uniform. In 2014, very soon after his suspension, Davis was driving to the airport when he came across a car accident that had trapped one of the passengers under the pickup truck they were in. Davis got out and got the attention of other drivers to lift the car up and rescue the man pinned underneath. So regardless of his on-field disappointments, Chris Davis is a great dude in my book. With that being said, we are talking about baseball performance, and the overlap between these three is pretty poignant. Hopefully, it is all in the past for the Orioles organization, and their new future of their franchise can bring success and maybe even a championship to Baltimore. Thanks for watching.